The decision to suspend tariffs for 90 days. A clever move to rescue the economy, or just a perfectly staged act ahead of the election season? While analysts celebrate a supposed victory, behind the scenes of political maneuvering, bolder scenarios are being meticulously crafted. Is this truly a decision made for the nation's benefit, or merely a tactic to appease public opinion and win over voters? These questions remain as heated as ever amid the escalating trade war. Join WorldView Today as we unravel whether this move is rooted in practical strategy or if cold, calculated political motives are lying in wait for the perfect moment to strike. Do you think President Trump's 90-day tariff suspension on China is a major win for America? Hold on a second. Could this just be a ploy to calm the markets, or worse, a sign that the U.S. is stepping back in the trade war? WorldView Today will take you through every twist and turn of this story, from a ceremony honoring top racers to the silent economic storms brewing on the global stage. Today, Trump appeared at the White House to celebrate NASCAR and Indianapolis 500 champions like Joey Logano, Ryan Blaney, and Joseph Newgarden. The lavish ceremony, filled with applause, coincided with a dizzying surge in the Dow Jones, nearing 40,000 points in the final hour of trading. But don't get swept up in the glamour just yet. Behind the handshakes and smiles lies a monumental decision: a 90-day tariff suspension on China, a move that has the world buzzing. Many quickly hailed this as a triumph, a smart step to ease trade tensions and boost U.S. economic growth. Yet the real issue isn't what's being announced, it's what's being concealed. The soaring stock market has everyone excited, but it also reveals an uncomfortable truth. The U.S. economy is highly sensitive to every policy shift. Take, for instance, how major companies like Apple, Tesla, and General Motors immediately benefited from the tariff suspension announcement. But look a little further, and it's clear this is only a temporary fix. Behind the decision lies immense pressure from manufacturers and consumers, exhausted by rising prices over the past months. And here's the real concern: what happens after 90 days? Will the U.S. and China strike a lasting deal, or are both sides just buying time, gearing up for a bigger, fiercer showdown? We can't forget that between the world's two largest economies, even the smallest decisions can trigger massive global consequences. The next 90 days aren't a time for celebration. They're a time for worry. But the truth is, it's not that simple. Trump put it bluntly. China wants a deal, but they don't know how to move fast. It sounds confident, but could this be an excuse for the U.S. to take a breather and wait for China's next move? At first glance, Trump's tariff pause might seem like a concession. Some think he's losing ground, but the real issue isn't about giving in. It's about buying time, waiting to see how China stumbles. China isn't naive. Just last year, they raked in $1 trillion from trade with the U.S. $1 trillion. That's a figure so massive you could stack $100 bills to fill several American football stadiums. With profits that enormous, it's obvious China won't easily abandon the U.S. market. So why pause the tariffs now? Trump says, no president has dared to do this before. True, no one has. But what he doesn't say is that tariffs are a double-edged sword. While they pressure China, they also hit American consumers with higher prices. Perhaps Trump realizes that pushing too hard could backfire just before the election. Some believe Trump is conceding defeat. But in reality, he's playing a mental game. By halting tariffs, he's kicking the ball into China's court, a shrewd move that forces them to choose: concede a little now or face long-term losses. The real issue isn't about tariff rates. It's about who can hold out longer. Trump might be betting that Americans can outlast the Chinese. That's the true gamble. Zooming out, the story is even more complex than Trump lets on. He boasts that over 75 countries are lining up to negotiate trade deals with the U.S., avoiding direct confrontation in the tariff war. It sounds impressive, but are they really ready to yield to America? Or are they just dodging the fallout? Imagine you're walking down the street and see two cars about to collide. Your first instinct is to take a detour. That's exactly what many nations are doing. They don't want to pick sides. They just want to steer clear of trouble. At a recent event, Trump likened his fearless spirit to high-speed racers like Joey Logano, who barrel down tracks at nearly 200 miles per hour. "We've got a big job to do," he emphasized. It's inspiring stuff. But the challenge isn't about initial bravery, it's about endurance. The global trade race isn't a sprint, it's a grueling marathon. The tariff suspension may seem minor, but it's a major turning point. Trump declared, "If we didn't do this, the country wouldn't hold up." Bold words, but what's the reality? Many see it as a wise move to ease domestic pressure, but it could also send the wrong signal to China, making them think the U.S. is losing its grip. Some economists point out that pausing tariffs is like opening the door to endless, inconclusive negotiations. While Trump thinks he's stalling for China to slip up, Beijing might be doing the same, dragging things out, waiting for the U.S. to weaken, especially as Trump eyes the next presidential election. Markets might cheer the tariff break, but this short-term joy comes at the cost of long-term uncertainty. Businesses can't plan ahead when tactics shift every few months. And when companies hesitate to invest, the economy stagnates. Many think Trump is flexing strength with this pause. But in truth, he's gambling on the resilience of the American people. He wants to keep voters on his side before the election, but he forgets that prolonged instability can be scarier than high tariffs. Trump may compare himself to a daring racer, but the issue isn't how fast he's going. It's whether he has enough fuel to reach the finish line. That's the biggest question America faces. Data doesn't lie. Before the pause, the U.S. was collecting $2 billion a day from tariffs, a colossal sum, equivalent to the annual budget of a small nation. Yet now, Trump's chosen to take a halftime break. Why let go when he was winning? He explains that the pause is to benefit countries that don't retaliate. It sounds noble, like a football coach resting a star player to preserve strength. But the main opponent, China, isn't sitting still. They've already hit back. And Trump warns, if needed, I'll double the pressure. That's a strong statement. But the real question isn't the rhetoric, it's the plan behind it. Is Trump following a clear, step-by-step strategy? Or is this a high-stakes bet, banking on China buckling under pressure soon? It's a poker game where the player acts confident, but no one knows their cards. Because if there were a solid strategy, giving up a massive $2 billion daily revenue stream wouldn't be an easy call, especially with U.S. debt at record highs and global economic instability looming. Some see this as a step back to leap forward, but it could also signal that Washington is feeling the heat at home, from rising consumer prices, business complaints, and wavering voters. The tariff pause isn't just a technical move, it's a message, a vague one. The U.S. is back at the chessboard, but do they still control the first move? Or are they playing by their opponent's rules? Trump says he'll ramp up pressure if necessary. But as any poker player knows, the more you bluff, the stronger your hand needs to be. The real danger comes when you go all in, with no winning cards. Pausing isn't winning. It might be a tactical retreat, sure, but it could also, far worse, be a sign that the U.S. is tiring out against a patient, proud China. China isn't in a rush. They play the long game, even willing to endure short-term pain for greater long-term gain. They've survived crises and tightened their belts for decades. More than anyone, they know that in a trade war, the winner isn't the one who inflicts the most damage. It's the one who lasts the longest. And America? The Trump administration faces pressure from within and without. Inflation, supply chain chaos, an approaching election, and a public starting to waver. Americans may back a put America first strategy, but they won't stay quiet when every grocery item costs more. Many think Trump's in control of the game, but in reality, China might be the one steadily regaining the upper hand. If the U.S. doesn't soon reclaim a clear stance, today's pause could become tomorrow's loss.